always projects. So if you can't hear me, let me know though, okay? I know a lot of you. I don't know a few of you. My name is Colleen Smith. I own Full Circle Cafe, Tapestry Rose Yarn in Adelaide. Well, they said that I should be talking about old yarns. Well, I've been there 38 years, so I got to concise and I got to get this down, you know, to an hour. And I just wanted to give you a little history about myself and what I do. And you guys can ask me questions. I don't have any problems with it. I'm an open book anyway. The deal with this is such a great, forum for people to get to know the community, which I've not really been involved with in that sense because I'm 24/7 at the restaurant. And so I appreciate you asking me. That was very nice. And I do have many hats that I wear. So they all kind of integrate. So, I'll probably be jumping around from because yarn and food are what I do. And it used to be that I would have one or the other, but now they're so interconnected that I don't really separate it out. And so I'm on the Ocean Park Beach approach for the cafe. We've been there 38 years. It started out, my ex-husband and I came down here from Vancouver, Washington, and he had a little driveway that he already owned when I married him, and it was called the Igloo Drive-In. And from there, we came down here because we wanted to bring the kids, and we were living down here. And so our mission was to, have another small cafe. And it was a little to-go cafe in Vancouver, back when we were comfortable with. Circumstances dictated that none of the things that we put offers on bought. So we had this empty building down there on the Ocean Park Beach approach that was a fish house. It was already there, it was built in 1968. And so we went ahead and bought it and started turning it into a full service. We were there 18 years as the Copa-Wacoma restaurant, which means by the sea in the Chinook Indian dialect. And Copa is large body of water, or by, and Wacoma is large body of water, so it's by the sea. So it's whatever definition that you want to put into the description, because the Chinook Indian dialect was, we had a wonderful book, and it's in the museum down here in Ilwaco, that gave us all these different, they have a paragraph of descriptions for one word. So what's large body of water to some? Could be, pond, or lake, or whatever. And so we chose that. While we were choosing that, we wanted to see how authentic it was, and we got to meet Charlie Nelson. And he was one of the last living people that we knew of that could speak the Chinook Indian dialect. And so we had a wonderful visit with him in the Charlie Nelson house. And it was very fun, and he spoke Chinook, and he gave us a lot of history, and that's how we came up with the name Copa-Wacoma. We really like to have the local history of the area, and so we added different, furnishings that belong to our area. And so it happened to be that the block building was an interesting thing to try to turn into a restaurant. And we did, but we were there 18 years, just before, I think it was 1992, my ex-husband and I bought a building in Long Beach, which is now Duger's, and turned that into the Copa-Wacoma 2. And so we were there, but in that process when we divorced. And so I was given the restaurant, and then the old yarns come into being. I said, this talk should be never say never. Because I said I would never do food again. I was tired of that, and I didn't want to do it. And we raised two girls. They're wonderful. They have their own businesses. seen owns a Subway, and little Jerry has the Sunshine Daycare. And guess what they're doing? Serving food. So in the process of saying never say never, I've always done a lot of baking and those kinds of things. So it's just kind of like innately in me to do that. And of course, you forget the bad and you remember the good. And people would get like, what if you would just sell this, if you would just have that, if you would just do this, and you forget how much work it was. And so you like the place, and you like the people, they like the fact that they like the stuff. And so, you kind of say, and I had all this equipment in the restaurant that was going to waste. I would open up my refrigerators, double-door refrigerators, and they were full of crochet thread. And I'd go to the double-door freezers and I'd have yarns back there. I had no storage or anything, so I had to put them someplace. But it wasn't conducive to the equipment and it was starting to fail, and so I decided to start a small little operation. As they all know. I know Nancy from the Oregon, Nancy Jamil's Cafe. We all have the same thing. We all went back into the business again, even after you get out of it. There's something that's kind of like in you that keeps you driving for that. I think you kind of get used to a little bit to the not only excitement, but you get this adrenaline, and you're always working, and you're stressed, and you don't know how to stop. It's very hard to go back out of that. As people say, why don't you quit one day? Why don't you retire and stop? You've worked hard enough or long enough and blah 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 blah. And you're thinking, but I don't get to see you guys. I don't have to go out. I don't have to have parties at my house. I don't have to have dinner. I get you all day long, all week long. And that's kind of what feeds our souls when we get to have our customers that come in. We get to visit and hear their lives and how they go. And so I kind of jumped forward a little bit, but I'm going to go back to the fact that when my ex-husband and I divorced, I'd already started a yarn store in town. And so I had to gather that together and bring it down. And so I didn't do food for about 3 years because I needed to find something to do with all this yarn, which was stick it in my refrigerators and coolers. But what I was doing at that time was to offset, the stress of the restaurant and, the kids are all gone now, was I started knitting. And I was pretty good at it, but I couldn't make a living at it. And I didn't need to because that's not what it was for fun, it was for pleasure, it was for my own, inside, my soul that I did that for. But I started doing knitting machines, and I was contacted out of California. And I don't know, if you ever remember there's a sitcom that was was it Dallas? It had J.R. Ewing and Dallas. And I knit those types of sweaters were those ladies that wanted to be like Joan Collins and Linda Evans, that my patterns that they sent me used them as the models of the same sweaters that they had on the shows. So what I used to do a lot of talks prior to going into food, we had this whole little setup where I would have the young girls at big shoulder pads, Angora, foo-foo, model these around because they were so popular. And so I would sell these sweaters to the people in California that wanted it, and they were not cheap. But I've never been one to be a production person in that sense, and that kind of also leads into the restaurant. I get really bored if I have to do the same thing over and over and over again. Never been that kind of a person. Finally, one of the ladies that I was doing a number of sweaters for asked just one too many changes. And I said, Mother Smith, that's not the object, money. It's not the object. Yes, I like to make money, but I wanted to do it because it was for me and for people who appreciated what I did. And so I quit doing that. And that's when I kind of had to evolve into making money elsewhere. So hence, I went back into a little bit of the food as it grows and grows and grows into a full-service restaurant again, more or less, with no dinner. No dinner. Okay? And to make sure that I didn't do that, I took my deep fryers out. Because there's nothing better than some really good fish and chips. But I stood there for so many years doing fish and chips and oysters and chips and making potato chips and doing, those that, you feel like you're just one great big deep fryer yourself. Because you stood there for so many years doing, deep fry work and putting it out and everything like that, that I knew that somebody would talk me into eventually doing fish and chips. And I said, no. So I threw those out. And I had somebody come and take them. And in today's standard, for what the state and the county would require, I couldn't do it again anyway because the hood system is not conducive to what they're requiring for the state standards. So I'm home free. So that was kind of why I never went back into the dinner end of it, is because it was such a big part of our business that it takes so much work. And the way the fishing industry has gone, it's really been difficult to get the same product. And that's why I never really wanted to go back and call it the Copa again or anything like that, because you can never duplicate something the same. The people are gone, everything is gone, you have to make something new. And the reason I came up with a Full Circle Cafe was a strange thing, because for a long time I was Colleen's Creations, because that was what I did for my knitting. And so I'd already had that business, so I just melded it into. So there was a gal who was writing a series of books, Patricia Rushford, that I used to sell, and she had several books that were written on the peninsula. Two of them in particular was Red Sky in the Evening and Sailor's Delight or something like that. Or there was two of them. But anyway, in that, the second one came up with, she had done a mystery series on the peninsula, and she came in and got real upset with me, kind of, or she was jokingly upset, but she goes, I wrote a book, I put you in there as Colleen's Creations, nobody can find you. I am Full Circle Cafe. Now, and so we had a lot of fun with that. Bertie is very good friends with Patricia Rushford. And that was one of the beginnings of what happens to bring it into Full Circle Cafe was I had known Patricia Rushford. They lived behind Kitty Walters from the Igloo Drive in Vancouver. So we knew Patricia and her husband and kids. And then they came down here, and we all were here. And there's so many people that have retired here from that Vancouver area that actually my ex-mother and father-in-law, when they moved here, they knew more people than we did. There was just amazing how many people they knew from that Vancouver area. And so their migration of people for retirement to our area, especially in Longview also, but it was very interesting that we met Patricia and she was here. And then there's a couple other things, incidences that happened that were interesting, but I could just, like I say, I got to concise now here. When I decided to go back into the restaurant, I had tucked all my yarn into where the dining area is right now, and I then remodeled the back area where you go back through the wall into the bathrooms. That's where I put all my yarn. Well, I was able to open up the dining room. And when I did that, we had kind of pegboards over the windows so that I could block the lights from my yarn. And as that started coming down, I was like, oh my God, it was just like opened up my view. That I hadn't been able to see the ocean, and I didn't know how much I missed it. Because when you're walking buy something and you're looking at it and you take it for granted. And you know that's it's just amazing that I didn't realize that I missed it that much. And so then I started bringing out some of the old pictures. Joy, in fact, has a similar picture that I have of the poster of the train at the World, what was it? Queen of the Northwest Resorts. And they had a picture of the peninsula and different things. And there's a little insert picture of, I think maybe there's only like 3 that we know of. Joy had one, I had one. And for a long time I went down the lamplighter, kept trying to get one. But anyway, and the history, took old maps back in, different maps that we had. And Phil Martin, if you all know Phil Martin and all, he had helped me come up with a compass. I wanted a compass of sorts. And so he was so, he had his own tugboat business, and he took one of his old compasses that, you know, it's like in the water, I don't know what they are, the water, he took it apart, he took a picture of that old picture of the compass, he brought it down to me, and oh, we were so careful with it, and he put it back together and all that stuff, because I wanted a certain compass look. And as I put my maps back up on the wall, I have one that is got that exact compass with that, and it said it was a compass rose. And they said, oh my gosh, I didn't know that's what a compass was. You know? So hence Tapestry Rose and a compass. Hello, Roach. Like that. And as the years have gone by, the people that we've met and known and that have come down from Vancouver, Portland, and various places all over the world, and sit in there and meet, not knowing that there were the next door person sitting in that table was somebody they knew in high school, or graduated with, or was married to, or was a family member, or was somebody. And so we've had a lot of connections of people in there. I've always thought that it would be very interesting if I had, you know, had any inkling that I was going to be there this long to begin this journal of sorts that would document some of the strangest things that have happened. Somebody told me at one time that there was this theory that's called the 6th degree of separation. And I've come to believe it quite a bit because it seems like as people sit in an area where they're comfortable enough to sit and talk and share, because it's not exactly separate, so sometimes you can't hear somebody's conversation, you know, and what ends up happening is, you know, they'll connect, or they'll hear something, or they'll look familiar, and then they begin to talk, and then they have this, a connection of something that they've known, and it's very community spirited, that they then come together and they can meet and in a neutral area and be able to visit and connect, and that's what I like, is that connection. So when people do talk about the 6th degree of separation, and you always kind of wait for it now, and then when it happens, and they begin their life cycle again of meeting and visiting, that's where I think the full circle comes in, and that we are always connecting again and again and again. And so the long and short of it is I've been there over 38 years, I'm kind of getting tired. I don't know if I will or when I won't, but I couldn't stand the thought of Adelaide sitting there, empty. And Cindy came along one day and was talking about a plan that she had with it. She'd been working so hard at remodeling, and she talked about trying to open it up as a co-op or different things. And I just looked at her and I said, no, do you know what that means? How are you going to do this to take care of your books and your equipment? And she goes, oh. Everybody else thinks it's a really good idea. I'm like, no, because you're going to rent it to me. So we do that. And as things rolled along on that, it was like, okay, can I do this? Can I do this? And always, sometimes the best well-laid plans may go awry, but they always work out for the best. It works, and now I have people that I've never met before. All the years that I've been there, it's a whole different type of, it's a word, you know, there. And people mention over and over again that they're really happy that it's open, that they have a place to be able to sit and visit and meet and talk again. And this last weekend was very, the 3-day weekend, that we had was so awesome because not only did I have Taylor, his name is Taylor. You probably know him, Cindy. But anyway, Paula and their family, but it was their cousin, Norm. So anyway, came in and brought pictures that he had, and one was of the original one that Cindy had on the wall that was with Adelaide with her arm up on there. Well, the picture he gave me was her arm with this one. They reversed the images one way or the other. The exact same picture. He came in and introduced himself, wanted to know if I'd like to have these. And another one where she was standing in like 6 inches of snow out in front. And then in comes Paula and then her sister and their kids, who I know are this big, and now they're this big. They're bringing their boyfriends and girlfriends in and stuff like that. And then we had been talking a little bit about some of the connections with the Taylors and all the kids that I knew and the people that I knew, but not really connecting it with the Taylor Hotel so much. So now we're kind of gathering all that information back into it to, and out front, the reason I bring up the poster was because the poster of the Northern Railroad, as they were doing their pictures, one of them was of the Alice that was inset in that picture, and I wanted that one because I kind of had this little thing about the Alice for a long time. And so I have lots of pictures of the Alice or different things that go along with that. And when we were opening up one of the recent books that were written, and in there's Adelaide in the Taylor Hotel with the crew of the ship Alice going there and staying there at the hotel and stuff. And so there is no separation in any way, shape, or form of any of these things. And here I am now with the Alice and the Taylor Hotel and that connection that started so long ago that you didn't even know until it's been 38 years. And so it's so fun to be able to keep as much of that going so that people could understand that there is such a life that was here so long, and yet we still keep connecting with it over and over and over again. And I hope that, as the next change in my life begins, that we can preserve as much of that as possible. And, make sure that when your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids, come back down, that they appreciate the area that we have. And so I think that's going to be my next mission in this life, is to do a little bit more community-minded things so that I can get to know other people a little bit more. I have a pretty good crew, things always change. They come, they go, they get pregnant, they do those kinds of things. And so I never know what the next chapter is going to happen, but Bertie brought some more books in, and we've got slowly but surely gathering the local artists in that write books and stuff, so that we can continue on the tradition that Cindy started. And not to the amount of books that she had, because I know nothing about books. I'm just bringing them in. You know, and then people will be able to come and visit the authors that are there and their new stuff. And I really appreciate the fact where they're writing about the local area, because frankly, if I don't see it in my corner, I'm just as sometimes bad as the next person. You know, you get concerned with your little corner, but you don't see the whole picture. And there's some day that I think I will go on a vacation and see the peninsula. I have not seen it for a long time. And what's happened, you know, even just live at a park and from one end to the other, there's so many things that that I haven't really seen or maybe even enjoyed or heard about, and try to, you know, actually speak from experience versus hearsay, because that's a lot of what we get in restaurants. I live vicariously through you. Okay, anybody want to ask a question?
I miss the potato chips.
Yeah. I laugh when the kids were talking, and because I know potatoes. Maybe not as good as McDonald's, but you know, we were just discussing potatoes and why some of the hash browns aren't as good as the others, you know. I mean, now we're always working with potatoes. And somebody brought me a sack of potatoes, and I said, I'm never going to use these little things. I don't have any use for them, so why don't you guys take them home? You know, well, didn't happen. And so they said, well, what kind of? They're yellow. And I'm like, well, I don't think they're gold, but you know, I was talking to them, and they said, well, how come you don't use those kind of potatoes? I said, well, you know, if I was McDonald's, I'd go into the middle of the pasture and take my deep fryer and figure out, you know, what field was the best potatoes, and then buy the whole entire field. But instead, we would buy a 100-pound bag. I would start frying up the potato chips. If they didn't fry good, we'd use them in, you know, chowder or something like that. Until you found a bag that was just a perfect. It can't be too starchy, it can't be too sweet, you know, those things. And if I had another life, I would be a dealer. I'm not kidding, I could stand there and I could put one at a time, and that's it, go as fast as I can and do potato chips for a week. Because I would do that all day on Thursday at the restaurant, past restaurant. And so I could have potato chips. Because I'm not going to do it every order, because you have a fryer for the fish and you have a fryer separated out. So anyway, so I could stand there and do this because there's all these techniques. You can't clump them, and you can't you know, you've got fryers, you don't have these big vats, you know, and stuff. And so what they would do, as soon as I find a bag that was just the right, wouldn't get too crispy, you know, I wouldn't get brown, you know, all those things, we would buy 1,000 pounds. There's where the showers went to the fish market. They held potatoes. So, because they were, prior to us getting it, it used to be their own fish market, but they added an RV park there. And so there was 2 showers in each bathroom, and they were on concrete, so we just stored 1,000 pounds of potatoes in there until they were gone, and I started all over again. So you find out, you know, Idaho potatoes at a certain time of the year, Washington potatoes are a certain time of the year, but you know, you can't do it. I just can't do it. You know, the other thing that happens with that is if the you know, potato industry is never going to go away, but you know, I'm just going to let Tim's Cascade do it or something. Ruffles, you know, keeps me out of it because I made too many potato chips. I ate too many potato chips. So you can go potato chips on, you know, this is where some of this came from. Because you had to test them, you know. The only thing I do really miss is, you know, being able to have, like I say, really good fish, which is so hard to get now. When we had Chinook packing, that was the original Chinook packing. You know, they were so good. They could call us up They had a boat coming in. They had 500 pounds of ling cod. That's an around, you know. Do you want it? Yes. They would lay that out. They would put it in this beautiful box. There wasn't nothing on, you know, no skin. They lay it out. They would go down and pick it up. Boom. You know, it's not happening anymore. You know, you can't get that. You know? Same thing, unfortunately, with Jolly Rogers. You know, we used to be able to go over there, walk in, you know, get 2 or 3 gallons and walk out and, you know, have, you know, our oysters and chips and stuff like that. Well, things evolve and change. You don't get to do that anymore. I have to order from, you know, the hotel houses. And sometimes they're coming from Bay Center, and sometimes they're coming from Oregon, and sometimes they're coming from, so when people come in and they want local, it's just not happening. And so that's what's the sad part of that, is that, you know, we don't get to do razor clams, you know, that's out. It's been out for years, you know. But people think and feel like you're in a seafood area that you should have that. And we're dictated that we're not able to do that, you know. And the volumes of what we do in this area, even the biggest moving restaurant on the peninsula still has to get from out of the area. You know, and that's too sad because we had such good, you know, seafood for so long, and we're fairly spoiled, I should say. So, anyway, anybody else?
What's your newest adventure?
My newest adventure? I'm going to announce it next week. I have a new adventure, yes I do. I don't want to quit, I never want to quit. I keep moving and evolving. Someday I'm going to have a day spa upstairs, so, of Adelaide's. I want a day spa. I got to get somebody to give me a masseuse. I got the masseuse table, anybody know a masseuse?
There's one at the Southwest for their lunch.
I know, they got to come up to me.
Well, you could probably work that out.
I said, no, but it's so funny because everybody comes up, got a masseuse table up there? What for? I'm like, someday. really, yeah. So, anyway, what was your?
Anyway, I wanted to mention that Colleen also has knitting. She is a very good knitter, and she's a very good teacher because she taught me how to knit. And she has knitting groups on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons at Adelaide's, and she's also been kind enough to have different clubs that need to have meetings there.
Yeah.
You schedule with her. They have Adelaide's as a meeting room too. And so we have various people that knit or crochet or do different things. And I don't know how many people here that knit, but there's quite a few that have started on projects, and Colleen will always help them if they're having a problem with a project. Knitting or crochet or whatever. She's really good that way. And Cindy, a lot of your books are down there too. I've seen them all down there. Anyway, yeah, so Colleen is really good, and her husband Gary, he can help you too. He's a good knitter too. And he kind of runs the tapestry shop while she's cooking or working with the food.
It's amazing though that you bring that up, is that there's a lot of people that don't know this about my husband. He was a automatic fire sprinkler installer. That was his trade. Automatic fire sprinkler installer. That was his trade. And he was, you know, retired. The reason he took early retirement is he had a stroke. And it was a full-blown stroke, but through a lot of, I'm not going into it, we got reduced to TIA, and so the type of I am was I didn't accept what was happening at the hospital with him, and so once we got it changed to TIA, I was able to take him out, and but in the meantime I took down silly putty and some various other little things, and my knitting, and I had some massagey things, and until we could get the doctor to change it, I was making him do that stuff right away. And when I got him home, first thing I did was make him sit down and think about, what is he going to do? How can he climb ladders? How can he pack these heavy pipes and things like that? I mean, he thought about it. He had a lot of recovery to do. On his very own, he started walking down to the restaurant using a cane when he was able to be steady enough. And we have a house that's up here and the restaurant's down here, and so we have these little switchback pathway. And so he would come down. He never wanted anybody to see him not perfect. So he didn't want to see somebody limping or, he didn't want. He sat back there by the computer and he knitted through an entire dish rag book. And every dish rag that was in there, so he could get his hands going and feeling and movement. And so he could stand up and walk a little bit with his cane, or he would sit back down when it was hard. And so he learned really well a good portion of that on his own. I mean, as he did, because he was kind of a crafty type person to start with, so he took to it real well. But the funny part of that whole thing was, he got tired of hearing me tell people how to cast on. So finally one day he goes, I can do this. And so he started teaching people how to, do the basics and get through that. And I'm the technical person. I really like the technical of the whole thing. That's why I said earlier I was not a production person. I like the technical. I want to take that project and I say, okay, let me help you. And sometimes I have to be ruthless. And sometimes I say, hey, nobody's ever going to know this. Just you keep repeating that mistake. One of the people in my original knitting group that had started actually before I was even there said, well, if you can't see from 727, don't worry about it. But if somebody looks at it and that's all they're going to see is that mistake, it's time to take it out and start over again. And I'm really good, so I'm not attached to it like somebody that's been knitting on it. And so I'd say, turn your back, and I just start ripping. And then once you get through that initial thing, it's like, you think of all the, because the money is still there. You can knit that sweater 100 times and the money is not going to be wasted. It's the time value, that people think they work so hard on it. And how, but then once you're done, it feels so good that when you're done. I'm also an out-of-the-box thinker on something like that, because I have several people that come in and have a project that's way out of kilter, and we just don't know what are we going to do? And they just said, I'm just going to throw it in the wastebasket. I'm like, I don't think so. And there are one of the lessons that I had, which goes back to how I was connected with Adelaide, so at the Taylor Hotel at the time, was when we first came into town, because we couldn't find a restaurant. You know where the Farmers Insurance Office is now? Well, we bought that building and it was a laundromat. And so we remodeled that laundromat, put new machines in there, and so for a year or so we ran the laundromat. But while we were doing that and saving our machineries from the clamors and all the sand that came in, we all stayed there, shifted throughout the day so that we could keep the machines clean. And so I got bored. And so I started knitting again. I hadn't really knit that long. I knit this beautiful sweater that was on the front of a pattern. That was a Nin's Fair Isle, diamond shaped ski sweater, yada yada thing. And I had a lady from the Taylor Hotel that owned the Taylor that would help me every once in a while when I had a little bit of troubles. And so I took it and I wrapped it all up and I gave it to my husband and I said, here's your sweater. And he tried it on and it didn't fit. And I said, I can't believe this. I did everything right. I'm just, and it was all balled up. And I was like, oh my God, this is how it was. So I went to this gal from the Taylor Hotel and she goes, no, you did it right. Everything's right. And I don't know what. So I got out of and I started counting the rows with a magnifier and I got up to this part and it was like this. It was all folded up in the picture. And they knew. They knew when they took a picture of that and put that model on the front that there was something the matter with it, and they left it there. told you, we worked so hard. We worked so hard. 5 color changes in this diamond thing, and what? No, I can't start with something easy, it has to be 5 color changes. And so then I just ripped it out to that first row, redid the neck, fit perfect. And that was my first lesson. I'm like, oh my God, they're not always right. So I always err on my side first, then I go to the pattern, and then, the designer. The end of that story with that is my son-in-law was a crabber, and he needed a sweater, and I said, here you go. Here you go. And when you're outside on the ocean, and you've gotten too hot, and you need to take your sweater off, just keep on going. And I never saw that sweater again. And since then, I wish I'd known I was going into the restaurant, or the yarn business, I would have kept some of those mistakes, something like that, to show that, everybody makes them. Now, what are we doing with it? But I never went to see that thing. I was so mad at it. I worked so hard at it. And so then I just started in. I just started in all the time. And that's because I enjoyed it, and that's what I am. I also learned through the years that I learn differently. People all learn differently. So when people come in and they ask me about how to do something or to repair something, or they've never knit, or they want to learn to knit, or they used to knit but they were told they couldn't knit, or they couldn't get it, or grandma taught them, or teacher taught them, or mom taught them, it doesn't matter, they just didn't get it, and I'll say, well, I need to find out what kind of math you like. And so they always look at me and I'm saying, well, you tell me, in high school or grade school, mostly high school, did you like story problems? Like the train is going, this way, 265 miles an hour, and this one's coming 600 miles an hour, and it's supposed to meet at point B. When does it get there, and how does it get there? Like, did you do really well at that? Or did you like algebra? It's got the brackets and the times and the da-da-da-da-da. What did you do good at? And they'll tell me, well, it's algebra. They got A's in algebra, but they hated math because they couldn't do the story problem, or geometry, in my case was. And I say, okay, because you're a crocheter if you do algebra, and you're a knitter if you do story problems. Because the patterns are written that way. And so it's how side of the brain you're coming from, how you do it. But we need both of them. In fact, Luann, the gal that worked for me for, like 7 years at Open Both Town Trading, she just texted me the other day and she goes, well, which was it? If you were story problem or if you were algebra? Which one is it? What am I, Colleen? I like story problem. I said, you're a knitter. Okay, just keep on going. But you marry, there's the craft, and you marry them a lot together. Quilters use embroidery, and the rug hookers, they do stuff for the binding off on the edges. Everybody kind of intermixes. Needle pointers use, lots of cross stitches, and cross stitchers use needle pointing stuff. They're just all together. They're intermixed. And so I'm not an expert in every one of them, but I'm good enough, that I'm an expert at knitting and crocheting and, a few other things. I like to dabble in all the other stuff, but I also know that I don't like cross stitch. But I'm really good at needlepoint. Why? It's the same kind of stitches. Why do I count those little things? I just want I just want to be even, Steven, and smooth and symmetrical, because I'm so square. That's what I am. I'm very square. Everything is square. I have squareness. And so whatever does that makes me feel it's all. And same thing with knitting. There's a famous knitter, his name is Kate Fawcett, and he does needlepoint and cross stitch and knitting and textiles and everything, and his colors are like, every color in this room stick together was a gold in there. Yeah, look at it, and I hurt. I can't. And so I was working with some older people, again, they like to needlepoint, so they can't needlepoint these little tiny things, so what do? Well, we find another medium. What can they do to fulfill that and be able to handle it and move. And as I was studying Portuguese needlepoint, there's it's actually called long-legged running cross-stitch. And the Portuguese ladies in prison came into the co-op, and there was beautiful Portuguese needlepoint rugs. And you see them in a lot of designer houses, and they're area rugs. And they're very, they're not fine. They're geometric, and they're Mrs. Moses type, picture, I don't know what that word is. Anyway, and because there's a stitch difference of 4 to like 16, and so you can't do fine facial things with only 4 stitches per inch. But you get this thing, and what people want to be able to do is still continue to do these things that make them feel. It's all about the feeling and what it does for you inside. So if they can continue their craft in one way or the other, maybe not the same, but there's always an alternative that they can do so that they can get this feeling of continuity. They want to be able to give that to their family and hand a legacy down one way or the other, no matter what it is. And so, we do that all the time with food. You have your certain things that you are so bound to by what your moms and dads and aunts and uncles and what you did at home, that you pass that down generation to generation. No matter if it's the best thing or not, it's still what it gives you is your comfort. It's what you think of when you have a memory that's evoked by the smell of food, or you put out your grandma's tablecloth and you got it so precious, but it's ruined now because it's like been sitting in some place it shouldn't have been, or somebody spilled something on there. You take it and you say, I can't repair it for you. It's going to cost you $500 for me to repair it. But I'll teach you how to repair it. And if they can do that, I said, okay, then get the scissors out. Because we're going to make a beautiful collage. You take a shadow box, and you take this little bit from that grandma's thing, and you take their picture, and make a little snippet of their hair or something. You make a beautiful collage. You can always remember and pass that on, so that the people that have taken that time and effort, you still remember it, but not stuck in a drawer forever that you never see or appreciate. It's all about using, everything that you have to give yourself, what you personally need yourself that fulfills.
Along with what you're just saying, remember Howard Johnson?
I don't know Howard Johnson.
He was this big guy, really big, and he was one of 11 children, and his job was always to knit the socks for the kids. And he followed that through until I think the day he passed away. Anyway, he used to sell them down at Colleen's, and he had just carried it on all those years.
And the rest of that story as I met him from the Methodist church, they were having a cookie block and a bake sale and stuff, and so he was selling his stuff there to raise money. And so he had too many. He was trying to quit smoking, and so he wanted to keep himself busy. And so on one of his trips back to Minnesota, he had somebody help him remember how to turn the heel on a sock, because he'd done this all the years growing up. They had to knit socks and mittens and stuff like that to keep themselves warm. He happened to live in Bemidji, Minnesota, next to the Bemidji, Minnesota woolen mill. And so that's the wool. Well, anyway, so he sat there and he did these like strange colored socks. and he had a whole basket full of them, whole trunk. And so he was selling them at the Methodist church. They said, hey, why don't you go down and ask Colleen? Well, as square as I am, he had all the ends sticking on the outside. These little like things flopping. And I'm like, okay, why? And you have these out there on the outside of the sock, why didn't you put them on the inside and hide them, like we do? And he goes, well, those are called tassel socks, and they're boot socks. That's what we wear them in, And I said, okay. I'll take 2 of them, I said. I'll take 2 of them. Well, I sold it within half an hour. I called him back up and said, I need some more, Howard. And our relationship began. He loved his wife.
Yes.
And he saved all that money. He would buy miscellaneous garden things and stuff like that, but he took all that money, put it in a separate account, And we worked a number of years together. And he did the Bemidji wools, and then different ones of socks and some aprons and stuff. But this tassel socks were the thing, you know. And I would never do that because it was just too. I'm not. I can't. It's just like out of my psyche to be able to like put those ends in there. And he saved enough money to take her back to Minnesota for one of their last trips. Bought the round trip tickets. Got a hotel room, took her back for a surprise before she passed. And at his service, I had people, as many that could, bring a pair of his socks. And I only did part of the eulogy for his family to tell him, you know, that part of the story. Because those are the ones, and those are the only socks that I have left. Are the ones I use them for my, you know, like deep, deep cold. You gotta pull on their socks, you know. And so I always call them my Easter egg socks because they were blue, you know, these stripes, and they were just. But that's what he did. And once he quit smoking, became just, you know, sit at watching TV or news, and you just do it because pretty soon your hands are your memory. You don't have to worry about your head. Hence, the white noise is so good for people to be able to continue that and to stop, you know, if they need and chill. Give me a let me walk in my yard room and I drop my blood pressure about 10 points. Yes. And Howard is, I mean, one of the, like I said, if I had known enough of those times, I mean, those are precious times, and those are times I'll never forget. The times when I'm seeing like somebody across the bathroom, and it's like, oh, do these people know that there's a whole restaurant watching them? Those things are eventually, I mean, there's nobody could, we should have a reality series. Because nobody's going to understand some of the things that happen to their joy. It's just like, it's bizarre that people would do the things that they do down here. Do they do that in their own yard? Oh, well, so the latest one you want to hear is the latest. Oh, I'll tell you the latest one because we're still marveling at this. And I don't think it just pretty well pops it right up on there. We have a full house. There's a car across the way, and apparently there's a black Dalmatian type dog running around. And he's, I thought he'd already had pups, but I later found out he didn't. But full, you know, needing to have pups. And was running around the cars at the restaurant and down the approach. And I was in the kitchen, somebody caught my attention, and they said there's a dog that's stray that seems to be, you know, kind of in distress. And so I walked out there and I called to the dog, and it kind of came to me, but it went across the street to the bathrooms where there was a car parked over there, with the door was partly ajar. And so I followed it over there, and I could see that there was somebody sleeping in the back. And so there was a little dish of food on the pavement, water or something. And so I said, hello, is this your dog? And they said, yes. And I said, does he have pups? And they said, no, he's about ready to have them. And I said, well, I think he's a little serious here, you know. And this guy's in the back seat. He opens it, the dog jumps right in. And I said, you really need to, you know, watch because there's traffic and stuff. And, you know, he's looking for a place. And so he jumps in. I walk back. And we all noticed that there was like, you know, kind of half signs of just married or, you know, looked like that on the windows and stuff. And I went back to the restaurant, and the trunk opens up, and this girl crawls out of the trunk. And we're like, okay, well, like, why is she crawling out of the trunk? Because I had just seen him in the back seat, you know? And so she gets out, she goes to the bathroom, and she comes back, and she crawls back into the trunk. I was like, well, geez, you know, if you were sleeping there, then what made, okay. So the whole restaurant, so I forget the food. Forget the food. I mean, we're like, this is like too much. Well, the trunk opens up again. And out she comes. Only this time she has pink ruffles all around the bottom and the straps. And hooker shoes. Walks to the bathroom again and comes back and crawls back into the trunk. They picked up their doggy stuff and drove off. They're in the trunk. And we had so much fun putting a scenario story together. Now, you know, what
You didn't have a camera.
happened there with that? Like, you know, did he go to Vegas and find her and get married and then
Put her in the trunk.
or
Maybe they had a fight, and so she wanted to get away from him. And they would fight.
I think it's a separate business.
yeah. And so I mean that was when we're like we just sit there and we enjoy this, you know, kitty corner across it, you know, and she has all these hilarious. I mean, she's out there all the time with us, going like. Why would people do these things? I mean, you know, they have property and this abused and used by a lot of people. And sometimes you come up with, you know, something like that and you just stand there and you're just left scratching your head because, you know, normally you would, you know, get in the front seat then.
They have bucket seats now, so you can't really lay down.
And it wasn't a Las Vegas license plate either, you know, so it wasn't that, you know.
And the dog was having puppies in the backseat.
And I was just here for
They live happily ever
that's just I mean, we've had that one, that was one of the latest ones, but I mean, it was right there when we saw it, it would just be a sitcom, because nobody would come up with that. Really? We had just, you know, the couple that had gotten together, they actually met in the restaurant, and he was not a very nice gentleman in the talking end, so you couldn't get a hold of him, you couldn't pull him out, you couldn't, you know, and he was a nice man, but he just, you know, would crouch in everybody and everything, and you know, and he would talk to me, and I just couldn't figure out what the deal was, and it just for years was like that, and so I'd always just go out and wait on him, you know, because he would talk to me, and we were fine. He met a gal in there, and they started meeting, and they, she had these Pyrenees, great big Pyrenees, and a lot of times she would sit outside. And this was a converted bachelor, oh my God, and it was just, you know, this whole thing. They met, and they connected, and she started, he hated dogs. She had these Pyrenees, and he had a Miata. And to see those two Pyrenees get out of that Miata was some of the most hilarious things that we've ever seen. Because they would be in the front seat, the Pyrenees would be in the back, they'd have to let the top down to get the dogs out, which had to crawl back over in the middle to get out. And then they sit out there and they would have their food and, you know, and everything. And it'd be like, you know, one of those, like, what's that game where you put your, in your churn and you put your foot over here and you twist it. Yeah, that's what it was like the whole entire time. And they would just, it would take an hour to come and go, you know, just to get in and out of the car and things. Well, she loved her Pyrenees very much, and she saved all her hair. And we helped her facilitate, and another person who did merino wool, they did just this wonderful, all these sacks of Pyrenees hair. They made it into yarn. Somebody else knit it, Afghan, and they sold it for $5,000. Wow. Auctioned it off, yeah. So sometimes it's totally opposite ends come together. Anybody else? All right. I can go off first. That's why I had to, you know, get myself down to an hour. So let's celebrate that hour, and if it goes beyond, we'll just I'll bring that.